I'm going to be doing my face while I'm talking because it will help distract me, because yes, the news can cause anxiety, or it can increase your anxiety if you deal with it. If you deal with depression, it can, increase that as well. So what we're going to talk about today is like, what is the news these days? Is the news just, people trying to get views? Is the news really what's happening? And I will say this, there is a difference. There is a difference, because if you think about it, maybe the stuff that's been showing up in your feed, even if you don't regularly watch politics, there seems to be so many more channels of people reacting to what's going on in the news. That's what I call sensationalism. And it is a money maker, because people will watch, because people want to know things. And sometimes people just want to commiserate, like, oh, I can watch this person because my views align with theirs. And so it feels like, hashtag share it out. So it comes across as hashtag solidarity, and you may not feel so alone because there's other people that share your views. But what I'm here to tell you is, protect your mental health and protect your peace. Try not to fall into, you need to watch everything that comes out all the time, because with the news, as we see, things keep changing. And stuff that's being written, or executive orders, or lawsuits and cases, those are things that us, the common folk, there's nothing we can do about it. So part of me is, just give me the tidbits and let me know when it's over, because there's nothing we can do. And I will use the example of the 14th Amendment, that he signed an order to end birthright citizenship, which is not how it's done. You cannot just change an executive order. You cannot just change the Constitution by writing an executive order. And there were so many channels, blah, blah, blah. And some channels, every few hours, they're doing another video, because that's how fast information is changing. And so that's what I'm saying. And I'll give you an example about, I'm hoping it doesn't go through. Part of me thinks it will, but then I just watched something that said it's not going to be retroactive. It's going to be something that starts February, I forget the date of this year, 2025. And so when he signed the order, there was a lot of news channels, he signed the order for this is happening. And then guess what? It wasn't happening, because then an hour later, okay, a judge blocked it. Do we need to see all of that? Just tell me when it's done. And some of you who consume a lot of news, or even a lot of social media, think about how you've been feeling lately. Like, have you been feeling worse because you're consuming so much news, or you're on social medias and people who don't agree with you or your lifestyle, they're very negative in the comments, and this is just across the board. And so I do have a suggestion for how to get the news without the sensationalism. And there are some channels that I no longer watch, because it crosses the line of giving me the news and sensationalism. When they start name calling, you're supposed to be giving me the news, but you've resorted to name calling, you resorted to saying derogatory things. That's not professional news delivery, in my opinion. Let me know down below what you think of that. And if everything ends up a meme or a joke, or, well, this is what you get, what did you think? How is that helpful? How is that helpful to the regular American person? And so I even spoke about it, the TikTok ban, and I was saying, what are all the TikTokers going to do? Where are they going to go? And yeah, it was shut down for like less than 24 hours. So then it's like, TikTok is back. And so that's what I'm saying, is like, dude. And so I clown myself for that, because I really thought, it was going to be banned. And then once, who said that, he was going to save it, he did. And it was just a transfer of power thing. Of course, finances are involved and things like that. And so it's like, what was and I'm not even on TikTok. So I was thinking, like, why was I so concerned with what's happening with TikTok? One of the brands I'm in their partnership program, they started started a TikTok shop. And I'm like, don't they know that TikTok's not going to be there? Guess what? It's still there. And so this all goes to my point of the only constant is change. And there's nothing we can do because it's already been written that, you know, our president now is who our president is. But do we need to see every single thing? Because it can make us feel upset, as I'm saying. It can, you know, affect our mental health. It can even affect, you know, our relationships with other people. Because I thought, for me, it's like, okay, TikTok's not going to be here. Oh my gosh. And guess what? It's still here, as I just said. So what was the point in me even talking about that? What was the point in me even, bringing that up? And so I want to just suggest to be careful of what you're consuming and thinking about, why am I watching this particular channel? Is it because they're entertaining, or it's like, oh my gosh, or, you know, is it a professional channel? I'm not liking this light patch right here. And so part of me does think that the 14th Amendment is going to be changed, and I'll tell you why. I hope it's not, but I'll tell you why I think that. A couple years ago, they tried to do a Muslim ban here in the United States, and the judge kicked it back. Not so much as kicked it back, but it's like, you know, you didn't give us enough information, you know, this needs, you know, so we're not going to pass this right now. And so it was rewritten, and guess what? It was passed. And so that's how this one is. And, you know, reporters were saying how there wasn't enough detail. You know, how is this really going to affect the people? You know, just in general, meaning United States as a whole. And if it's written the right way and it makes sense, yeah, it can happen. And so that's the thing. It's like, who is making that decision? And even dude himself was like, if it gets in front of the right judge, it's going to be passed. And so we do know that the government is corrupt at this point. And honestly, if you think about it, it's been that way. Like, it's not anything new. It's just more, it's just a heightened sense of it because of all the stuff that's happening. And we're just like, what the freaking frack is going on here? And so I really hope that it doesn't go through, but part of me thinks that it will. And I knew months and months ago a lot of things were changing, and I realized for myself I needed to make a change in my life. And also about the financial freeze on government programs. That was frozen. So we had channels saying, oh, they're going to freeze this and these are the programs. And then 2 hours later, the judge blocked it. If they write it up the right way, it may or may not go through. And yes, there's a flurry of lawsuits. And just because there's a lawsuit, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. There were things that he tried to put in place. I'm not going to say his name because y'all know. That he tried to put in place during his first term. And it was caught up in so much litigation that it wasn't resolved until after his term was over. And so just because something isn't passed now that he's trying to put in place, that doesn't mean it's not going to go through later. And so again, back to, do we need to consume every piece of news on every channel, which is an exaggeration because there's no way possible in 24 hours to even do that. But how much of that do we want to keep taking in? And things are overturned. Stuff is rewritten, and a judge is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I see where you're going from. And they can still say no, or they can say yes. And so that's the thing here. So for me, what I've done is I started to refuse to be taken in by sensationalism. The channels that are very reactive, or they're telling you something that happened, they're showing an article on the screen of what happened, and then they're just being really animated talking about whatever it is. How is that helping you? I mean, yes, okay, somebody's up in arms like you are, but how is that helping you in your day-to-day life? It's helping them earn money for monetization and the views and the watch time and the subscribers, but how is it affecting you as a person? And so I'm encouraging all of you to make a choice on, do you just want the news or do you want the sensationalism? If you want sensationalism, watch all the reaction channels. Go ahead and do that. And this isn't about any particular person, so don't think I'm saying don't watch this person or that person. I'm saying for myself what has helped me to be less on edge. That's the term that I would use, less on edge. And watching news from actual news channels, actual news networks, not the sensationalism. It's like, just give me the facts, ma'am. Just give me the facts. Tell me what it is. Tell me what it's not. And not so much as your opinion. And yes, some of these channels do bring in someone that says, can you explain your viewpoint on this? And that's fine. But when you're just all over the place and you're just calling names and putting up memes and saying derogatory things about a person, to me, that's not professional. So what is it that you want to watch? What is it that's going to help you? And so my first suggestion is to not get distracted by the sensationalism, to not get distracted by the reactions, because it is news versus entertainment, and sometimes news can be masked as entertainment because of how the information is presented. Think about that. So the channels, the types of news I suggest you watch, and these are channels that I watch, and not all the time, because I can only take politics in small doses, because I'm just like, okay, this is too much. And so, but what channels I do watch are channels like Politico, the Wall Street Journal, The Hill, channels like that they just tell you the news. MSNBC, CBS once in a while, and I'll watch whatever the last video was, because for some other channels, the reaction channels, the news entertainment channels, sometimes now they're uploading 3, 4, 5 times a day, because that's how quick things are changing. And then there's something else new that's happening. And how is that helping you? Because as quick as they're spinning, that's how quick you're spinning, trying to keep up. And so I just watched a short video, and also the videos I watch are like under 20 minutes, because I just cannot because it's just like, okay, just tell me the bullet points. If you're a thinking person and a critical thinking person, you're going to form your own opinions. You know, do I really need to hear 6 different people from 6 different videos tell me what they think? You know what I mean? As I do understand, though, that it can be validating. You feel a certain way, you watch a channel, and they feel the same way you do, and you're like, yeah, I knew it. And then in the comment sections are just outrageous. But how is that helping you? Okay, you feel validated about one thing. What about the other tons of things that's going on? All the other lawsuits, all the other orders, all the other directives, you know, every little thing. And there is more than one side to things. And I was watching a channel today, and that I haven't watched in a long time, because the title, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to hear this. And it was, I think, a less than 20-minute video. And it was a reminder of, that civil rights was not all that long ago. Even DEI, that was not long ago. And a lot of things that they don't talk about is DEI was voluntary the entire time. So companies did not have to. But that coming out saying we're going to end DEI, it emboldened companies to just be like, we're not going to do this, when it was voluntary in the first place. And so it's them just wanting us to know that they don't care about certain people. And a lot of the things that are going on, they were talked about years and years ago, but it was kind of on the down low. And I don't keep up on politics, but as I was watching this channel, I thought, I remember that. Like, wow, like it really wasn't that long ago. And I was born in 69. And so some of this stuff is really not that old, as far as, you know, laws trying to be changed or different orders trying to change different things. And so that's something to keep in mind too. And I was chatting with Princess, and I had told her, I think we as a people, we just got too comfortable, and we stopped staying alert, and we stopped being aware of what's really happening. Because, oh, DEI, oh, that's great. It was voluntary. But now it's this big thing, and it's just like, oh. And now federal workers, are they going to be let go? They're at a fork in the road. And when you look at it, it's like, who's benefiting from this? It was never the little man. It was never the everyday common American. It wasn't. So part of me is kind of like, what else is new? It's just more blatant now. But it's like, crazy stuff has been happening my entire life, and I'm in my mid-50s. And so me as a woman and me as a black person, it's like, why take in the sensationalism, the newstainment on stuff that, either a judge is going to put it through or not? And that goes back to, not that we talked about it already, but, do your votes, and not just the presidential elections, but, your county votes, your city votes, the elections, go and cast your ballots for whatever, because those are the ones who may or may not end up being the ones helping to make the laws. And I'm saying that because I'm thinking of, I don't even want to say his name. His initials are EM. What does he have to do with anything political? But look where he is. And the VP, he's not where he is because of merit. He's there because of who he knows and people who put him in authoritative positions. He doesn't have the qualifications. And that's what happens among a certain class of people. Oh, you think this person's okay, you elevate them. And then somebody else is like, oh, you vouch for them, I'll vouch for them too. And then before you know it, things are the way they are now. And, IGs, getting fired and all sorts of craziness. I think as a whole, we became too comfortable. And sometimes I say, first world problems, you know what I mean? Because there's other countries that don't have these problems. But then when you look at how they're living, it is a much simpler life. You know what I'm saying? And so that's my little tidbit, is if you want to just see the news versus newstainment, watch news channels that you trust. The Wall Street Journal, Politico, The Hill, stuff like that. And just stick to whatever day you decide to catch up on politics. Watch the latest one, because there's going to be 6 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, yesterday, 1 hour ago. And it can make you feel crazy because your head is spinning trying to keep up. But it's impossible to keep up when something is continuing to spin as fast as it's spinning, if that makes sense, and I hope it does. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you prefer the newstainment? Do you prefer the reactions of just an average person? Or do you want to hear what an actual news reporter from a news channel, a news station, tells you? And I think I did mention the Wall Street Journal and Politico and The Hill, channels like that. That's their job. So the newstainment, those are just people cashing in on feeding off of our emotions. We see the thumbnails, we see the titles, and we're clicking on, and it's just like, oh my gosh, they're so stupid. That's not even professional. I was going to say something, but then y'all might know what channel I'm talking about if I do, so I'm not. But, just think about that. Do you want the news, or do you want newstainment? Do you want the sensationalism, or do you want to know the facts? And even with wanting to know the facts, still look up stuff for yourself. Like, Google is a thing. Google is a thing. It really is. And a lot of people do really just believe what they see or what they read on social media. And with them removing fact check from Facebook, anybody can say anything. And the issue with that is, not that that's the issue, but the issue is, you say something enough times, you read something enough times, you'll start to believe it, even when it's a blatant lie. So I'm just saying, think about things. Think about what you're watching. Think about what they're saying. Think about, okay, are these facts or just their opinion? Like I'm saying, I hope the 14th Amendment, isn't changed, but it may be. That's just my thought. That's just my feeling. You know what I mean? I'm not a news channel. I do makeup here. But I really just wanted to talk about this because I was really struggling like a week ago, for about a week, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what is wrong with me? And I was taking in too much newstainment, and that's when I said I need to set a boundary and just watch factual news, and even with that, still do my own research, aka Google. And I have a few friends who are really into politics, which helps because I'm like, oh, what do you say? But then, you know what, I'll still look it up. And that's what I am recommending that you do. If you find that you're just spinning, or if you're finding that you're more anxious, if you're finding that you're more depressed, or you're more argumentative, or if you're just more on edge, you might need to consume less social media stuff. I am glad that I deleted my Facebook over a year ago. I'm no longer on my makeup Instagram. I never installed TikTok, and so it's just YouTube. And YouTube is run by, you know, wealthy people too, so that's a thing. But I just want to encourage you to just really think about what you're consuming, and if you're finding you're all those things, anxious, depressed, or more so, and on edge and argumentative and more critical, you might have to place a boundary on yourself on what it is that you're actually going to watch. And I do have concern for, I have family that's in law enforcement. I have family members who are state troopers. And, you know, that took me, you know, through some changes emotionally, because I was afraid for them, because now it seems like it's okay to assault law enforcement, you know. And I have friends in the queer community. I have friends who are trans. And so even though that's not me personally, a lot of things are affecting a lot of people I know and love. And to maintain what little bit of sanity I do have left, I had to create that boundary. And also, if you are concerned about people for whatever particular reason and they're close to you in heart, reach out to them. Just let them know you're there and they have your support. Trust me, it means a lot. It means a lot, because they can find themselves feeling alone. Hell, I can find myself feeling alone, you know, as a Black woman, as, you know, a woman in general, you know. And so there's a lot of different things happening. So just keep your eyes open, you know, Google stuff, look up stuff, and think about what you're consuming by way of social media, and determine if it's helpful to you or not. And if it's not, switch to other channels, or just don't watch it at all. And I don't recommend not watching at all, but it's all about what you can handle. Like me, the video needs to be under 20 minutes, because I just cannot take, you know, a 45-minute video on the stuff, because once you get to a certain point, they're just regurgitating the same things over and over and over again, and the theatrics gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the name calling, and, you know, the animations, and it's just their opinion. And you can form your own. If you're here, you're good and grown, you can form your own. Let me know down below your thoughts about this, what you're doing to safeguard your peace of mind, what you're doing to safeguard your sanity, and also how you're keeping up with what's important to you that you feel like you need to know, versus the newstainment where it's just watching people every few hours because they're uploading a new video. And think about the reasons why they're doing it, as I mentioned, because they're making money off of that. So do what you want to do. I'm not telling you what not to do or what to do, but I am just suggesting I can't even speak. I am suggesting that you guard your peace of mind and you guard your sanity. And with that, we're going to go. Let me know what you think down below.